From Jordan-Hare Stadium to Auburn Arena. From the plains to the recruiting trail and all points in between. If it's Auburn, we've got it covered.
Did I say War Eagle or War Eagle? That's it? War Eagle.
This is the Auburn Undercover Podcast with Brandon Marcello.
I want to welcome Jack Driscoll, two-year starter at Auburn at right tackle, came from UMass. Auburn's had some success with grad transfers in recent years, and I'll tell you what, Jack Driscoll did a heck of a job for Auburn these last 2 years. And now he's facing the NFL draft where looks like he's going to get picked up. These draft projections, it's crazy. Like people got you going from like the third round to the sixth round. But I'm sure for you, you just want an opportunity, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really try to block all that stuff out because, at the end of the day right now, that stuff's so subjective. And some kids get so caught up in that and think, oh, I'm a first round, I'm a second, I'm a third. But it's like, you know what, like you are what you are. And at the end of the day, like you said, I just want an opportunity, whatever pick it is. I know if you're the first pick of the draft, you have to go prove it. And, that's something I'm really working on. And no matter where I go, being ready, being in shape, and ultimately, like I said, when that time comes, that there's no hesitation, and I can prove that I belong.
So, what was the combine experience like? Anything surprise you? I always hear about just the poking and prodding those guys do, not just with their questions, but with medically, testing things out if you've had previous injuries and everything.
Yeah, it was, I will say it's a great experience. I got to meet a bunch of different guys, from different schools that you wouldn't normally get to meet. And, you're talking straight ball with football guys for, 4 straight days. So it's awesome. But yeah, no, I would say the most intensive part was the medical part is, you're sitting in rooms and, they're pulling on you every which way. They have a bunch of doctors running up to you, grabbing you, tugging you, yelling stuff out. And it's like, gee, and then you go right from there to the next room. It's the next group of doctors. But, look, when they're making an investment in you for that amount of money, they want to be sure they know what they're getting. So, just understand it's part of the process. And, thankfully, knock on wood, I've been, pretty good injury-wise, so it wasn't too bad of a day for me. But like I said, it was a great experience, and it was great to compete against the best in the country.
I don't think a lot of people realize this, but playing along the offensive line, it's got to be one of the most injury-prone positions. Everybody wants to look at skill players and go, oh, they tore an ACL, which is obviously devastating. But when you're on the offensive line, you deal with nicks and bruises, which nicks and bruises aren't exactly nicks and bruises. You're talking about strained ligaments. You're talking about partially torn ligaments and things like that, broken fingers. What is that like just as an offensive line? Give our listeners and the people watching a better idea of what it's actually like as an offensive lineman week in and week out when it comes to just those quote-unquote nicks and bruises.
Yeah, one thing is with, as for being an offensive lineman, you have to be mentally and physically tough. And, the nicks and bruises alluding to the physically part, look, that's why, guys like Coach Russell are so important to get our bodies right because, after a game on Saturday, you go play Georgia, Alabama, LSU, your body feels, you're sore, you can barely get out of bed. And, it's those guys who do a great job with recovery and get us ready to go for the next week. But, it's one of those things that they always say, football is, so fun when you're 100%, but the reality is you're never really 100% on the O-line. You're always dealing with, a little like bruise or something that's bothering you. So, it's learning to be able to play through that pain and understand it's part of the game. It's what you signed up for. And, look, obviously there's a difference between being hurt and injured. If you have a broken arm, then yeah, you need to go see some maybe. But, look, if you have a jammed finger, it happens. You're in the trenches in the SEC West, you're going to get dinged up a little bit.
When you first came to Auburn from UMass, everybody, when we write, we automatically look back at previous recruiting rankings and all that, like, oh, 2-star Jack Driscoll, what's he going to do at Auburn? When was your kind of aha moment when you're at Auburn going, not only can I compete here, but I think I could be a starter?
Yeah, I would say my aha moment came before, at UMass when I started for 2 years. My first ever start was at the Swamp. We played 5 SEC teams, a couple of other Power 5 teams. So, I knew I belonged. And that was, one of the things going down to Auburn was, look, you're playing with the best guys in the country. I couldn't go in there thinking, oh, maybe do I belong here? I always figure, look, I can't question myself. I have to be 100% fully confident that, look, I'm here for a reason. You know, Coach JB Grimes, Coach Malzahn, they recruited me for a reason. So, you know, I just got to go prove it. And, you know, like I said, I think, you know, for my redshirt freshman year, I started to kind of get that momentum. Like, you know, hey, I do belong with these guys. I do belong with the best in the country. And regardless of what I was ranked coming out of high school, you know, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
When you're at Auburn, I'm always wondered once guys, you know, leave campus, and obviously you're still in contact with teammates, but who is your best friends when you were at Auburn that you developed?
Yeah, you know, it was great. A lot of the guys in the O-line, you know, we were a really close-knit group of guys. We have, you know, barbecues. We, you know, everyone would bring someone or cookout. So by the end, I was super close with all the O-linemen. I still talk to them almost every day. And I was fortunate. They welcomed me with open arms, and it was a great experience. And, you know, it was a great group of guys. And there's a lot of, you know, no ego, just, you know, head down
Yeah.
work type of guys. So I think I fit in real well, and they'll be lifelong friends.
Who is the most annoying teammate, though?
Yeah. Who's most annoying? I don't know if I have most annoying. I mean, I don't, you know, I'm pretty easygoing. I pretty get along with everyone on the team.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Most colorful teammate?
I will say best dressed, I got to give to Sal. I mean, he's with his new fashion line. I'll give him a shout out. It's pretty impressive stuff that he's doing that while training. So, you know, that's awesome for him. And I'm really pumped for his brand.
I asked him if he had a big and tall section.
Yeah, that's what we need.
And he goes, "Oh, we got some XXL." I go, "Dude, that's not big and tall, really."
Yeah. I mean, the smaller guys don't understand the difference between XXL and big and tall.
Give me 2XLT for me, and I feel comfortable. But that's pretty cool that Sal's doing that. I guess I was talking about Pro Day, and obviously with the coronavirus stuff going on, and a lot of this production was actually going on in China, I guess. And he's talking about trying to have to like get everything to go and with the logistics and all that. But it looks like he's finally starting to get it started up, and I'm excited for him too. His family's certainly interesting group and nice group, very warming. So I always ask Auburn players, like when they leave Auburn, you know, the locker room is kind of like a sanctuary. I mean, it's you know, everybody in their lives, we all kind of have a locker room, even if it's not a locker room, where it's kind of behind closed doors, crazy stuff happens and all that. What's your most memorable memory in the locker room, whether it's after a practice or just a normal off-season day or even after a game?
Yeah, you know, I would have to say, I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's, you know, just after the Iron Bowl, it was such a special moment. And, you know, that being senior night, last night we'll ever suit up in Jordan Hare, some of the last, you know, it was such a great memory. And, you know, to beat Alabama the way we did too, it was just such, you know, it was awesome. And it was, you know, the locker room was electric. Guys were so pumped up. And I would say, you know, that has to be the best. But like you said, I mean, there's so many great locker room memories, whether, you know, you're just joking around with your buddies before practice or, you know, in the locker rooms where you get to, you know, like really like build a lot of connections and relationships. You know, when I first got to Auburn, you know, I didn't really know many people down there. You know, a lot of kids came up to me in the locker room, you know, hey, you know, you know, I'm so-and-so and whatnot. You know, that's where I formed a lot of relationships. And, you know, you spend so much time there, you know, kind of like the locker room is your place where you can relax. It's your space. You know, there's no coaches, there's no trainers. It's just, you know, if there needs to be a team meeting or, you know, you need to go talk to someone, you can really do it all in the locker room. So
what was the most challenging time for you or the team in those 2 years you were there? Because, you know, every team goes through those lulls or moments of like, we got to check ourselves, and there's players only meetings or just the guys calling around going, hey, you got to get your stuff straight. We can't do this or whatever. What was that moment or some moments for you guys in these last 2 seasons?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the ones that hurt a lot was LSU 2018. You know, just we had them, we were beating them, and, you know, we're coming off a big win against Washington, and, you know, obviously the, you know, lesser game in between. But, you know, that was one of those things where, you know, afterwards we had to kind of check each other and say, look, we still have a shot to do this. And ultimately we didn't, you know, do what we set out to achieve. But, you know, we had to come together and say, you know, look, one loss isn't going to kill us, but we can't let that turn to 2 and 3 and 4 losses. And so that was one, and it was early on in my career at Auburn, I could definitely say, where, you know, look, the leaders, you know, guys like Deshaun and all them, Jarrett did a great job bringing us together and saying, look, we need to stay together because it's one loss. And, you know, look, we should have won. We were better than them, but hey, they beat us. So, you know what? We can't complain. Like they flat out beat us. So, you know, there's a lot, you know, I would say anytime after a loss, it's frustrating, especially when you're you feel like you're better than the team. So, there's been a lot, but I would say that was the first one. And, I think like I said, the leaders, both my years, did a great job of making sure that, everyone was on the same page, and that, you don't start pointing fingers, because ultimately that's a sign of a weak team and bad chemistry. You want to come together and become stronger.
Who's the toughest SOB you ever went up against, whether it was in practice or in a game?
Yeah, I would probably say, Derek. Derek, I mean, I didn't go against him a ton because he was inside, but, my reps against Derek, I knew I had to bring it, 100%. There was no slacking off. There was no, hey, I got to, go through the motions. It was 100% all the time when you go against Derek. And, he's someone who's, as you know, a tremendous player and, a great leader.
I mean, he's a guy that's going to be – he's going to be an all-star, don't you think? I mean, there's
I have no reason to think he wouldn't be. He's got all the tools. He's got the work ethic, and like I said, he uses his platform in a positive way, and the sky's the limit for him.
So, because of the coronavirus and everything, I mean, it's been the NFL shut down its team activities. They can't travel. Sometimes, they try to do private workouts with players. So what's it been like for you since, like Auburn's Pro Day, for example? What have you been able to do, and what have you been doing since then? Because as soon as Pro Day was over, it was like that next week, all this really started with the coronavirus.
Yeah, it was crazy. And we were lucky that we got our Pro Day in. And, at first I thought, no one's going to end up canceling their Pro Days for us. And, lo and behold, that, they're, the season could be in jeopardy. Hopefully not, but who knows?
Yeah.
It's been weird because I was going to stay in Auburn the whole time, train, work out with different coaches were going to come and work me out, put me on the film or put me on the whiteboard, watch film. So, a lot of it has been virtual. I flew back to Connecticut. I'm back with my family now. And, just a lot of FaceTime and Skype and, Zoom interviews like this, and just making the most of the situation and understanding that, it's hard, but everyone's in the same boat. So, like I said, I'm just, staying in shape, trying to stay ready for when that time, who knows when, rookie minicamp will be or whatnot, but just making sure I stay ready. And like I said, I'm thankful for all the guys who didn't get to participate in the combine that we had Pro Day, because I'm really happy that they got to showcase what they were able to do.
How many teams you've been able to speak to just since Pro Day, whether it's through Zoom video conferencing or over the phone?
Quite a bit. Some are longer than others, but touch a lot of bases.
You look at analysts' projections. A lot of people have you go from third to sixth round, which is a very wide gap. On the second, third days of the draft. But I always, not to say I laugh, because these people are more experienced than me, but they go about like saying, well, his arm strength's not what this is. His musculature in his arms is not what it should be, and all this. And I mean, yourself better than anybody else. When you hear or read about people talking about your strengths and then also your weaknesses, like what's your kind of response in your head? Does it motivate you, or do you just completely ignore it, or do you think, wow, some of this stuff's off?
I would say with a grain of salt, and depending on who it is, if it's some random guy, but if that was Joe Thomas coming out and saying, hey, this is what you need to work on. Obviously, you listen to guys who have been in that position before. I always figure, look, I always personally self-assess and say, okay, what are my weaknesses? Because I think a lot of people don't want to be honest with themselves, but at the end of the day, that's how you get better. And if you can work on those things, then you're just that much more valuable. And I think I was able to do some of that at the combine, but it's hard because there's so much out there now with social media and, mock drafts and this guy versus that guy, and he has you here and this guy has you here. It's, you'll go insane if you look at all of it and take it to heart. So like I said, I'll look at it a little bit, maybe see what the weaknesses are. So see something I can improve on, but, there's some stuff I can't do. If someone says I have short arms, like I can't do anything, that's something like I can't physically change. I always say, I'm going to be the best at the things I can control, and all those things, no one will work harder and, dedicate more time to, achieving those things. But, some of the stuff they knock you on, you literally have no control over.
Have all the teams you've talked to just pretty much said you're a right tackle?
Yeah, I mean, it's something, some teams have said, playing inside at either guard or center. Some have said tackle. So, I'm really just trying to work on snapping and, still working on tackle stuff and, learning the guard stuff because, if I can play all five positions, I'm just that much more valuable to the team.
Yeah, that's got to be a little bit different because, you want to – I guess it's one thing. It's almost like, I guess I put it in like common terms for people to understand. You're like trying to you're right-handed or whatever, but then you also are trying to be left-handed at the same time, and trying to do that. And it's not the first time you've had to snap, because I remember when, gosh, what was that one practice where there were so many injuries and JB Grimes was going around going on the sideline like, who could snap? We need to get people to start snapping or whatever. It's you would think it's difficult, but that's something you can get down pat pretty quickly, especially when you're experienced as someone as you are.
Yeah, it is, but I will say this too, snapping on air is a little different than snapping when you got Derek Brown head up on you, on third and long. So, it's just something, like I said, you work on as best as you can, but until it's really live, full speed, it's hard to get, it's hard to really mimic what it's like. But like you said, I've done it before, so it's something I'm just continuing to work on and continue to improve upon. That'll be nice too. In a couple of weeks where I know where I'm going, I'll have a better idea of what position they want me to play, so I can really start focusing.
Are there any players out there that you kind of model yourself after, that you can compare yourself to, or even some of these NFL draft folks and GMs and personnel have told you, hey, you remind us of this guy?
Yeah, one guy I really always loved to watch was David Bakhtiari from Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
He's someone who's got a similar body type, and he was able to be one of the most successful left tackles in football. And he's a great player, and I love watching him. And I love watching. Hey, he's got a guy with super long arms on him. How does he beat that? What is he doing? How is what's his timing? What's he looking at? And it's when you have someone like that to watch and look up to, it makes watching that much more valuable. And it's something I enjoy doing. I tape games and just I'll watch good edge matchups and see try to learn techniques from those guys.
So take me back. You're at UMass and you realize, hey, I want to be a grad transfer, go finish out my career elsewhere. What kind of nibbles were you getting? What schools were you hearing from at first?
Yeah, so at first I actually got blocked, so I wasn't able to leave for about 2 months. So I didn't get my release until early to mid-ish April. So I didn't have a ton of time, but a lot of teams that quickly, especially once I made it public, I didn't post anything, but once it was made public, I went to Auburn. There was Florida, Michigan. I went out to USC, UCLA, Tennessee, Nebraska, just a ton of schools in a very short period of time. So it was a crazy, hectic time, but I'm really happy I picked Auburn.
We're seeing it more and more now with grad transfers, and especially in spring, because teams, not to say they get desperate, but they start seeing the weaknesses that they have on their rosters, and it's late in the game. They have no way to fill it. So a lot of grad transfers, they've got a lot of power on their hands, and they got so many more options than, say, maybe even some kids coming out of high school, just a few months prior. Because as you said, it's not just regional for you, it's national. When you come out as a grad transfer, and it's like that for everybody. It's like UCLA, USC, and Auburn, Alabama, or whatever in Florida. I wonder, is that when you start hearing from those teams, is it kind of overwhelming? And how did you handle that when you start hearing from those teams?
Yeah, it was, like you said, because, if I would have had a few months to do the whole thing, it would have been, I could really sit back. But, I got my release, like you said, early to mid-April, and I walked for graduation, April 29th or 30th. So it's I need to be figured out where I'm going by the time. So, it was one of those things where I got a list, I didn't know a ton about Auburn, but I said, these are the schools I'm going to consider, because I only have a few weeks to do this. And, if I'm trying to take visits every day, I still have to graduate and finish up strong at UMass. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't too much of a frenzy and a circus. And that's why I never posted until I committed to Auburn. I never posted anything on Twitter because, some people are like, oh, if you tweet this out, you'll get this offer. But it's I want to go where I want, not where, I'm mature. I've already done this before. I understand how the game works. I don't need to be chasing offers. Oh, just because I got, Alabama or Auburn or LSU, I need to go where it's best for me, because it's ultimate business decision.
When you are a student athlete at Auburn, I've always wondered, what is your typical day look like from the academic side, and also, of course, from meetings and workouts and all that? Take me through a normal fall day during the season. When do you wake up? When do you do this and that, go to class, and when does the day end for you and you put your head to the pillow?
Yeah, so I'll start out, and like I said, this is mostly a Tuesday. We first day of actual practice for the week as we're getting ready for the opponent. Sunday we'll have a walk or whatever. So Tuesday, I have 7:45 a.m. lift, so I'll get up about 6:30ish, 6:45. Pack my stuff, So I have all my stuff so I can shower and just go right to class. And after that, so go to the facility, get there. I always like to stretch out and roll a little bit. So, get down the weight room about 7:30, 7:45 to about like 8:15, 8:30-ish lift. And then, I had class at 9 a.m. And then I also had class at 11:30. So I'd be done by about 12:45. In between those classes, I'd try to either watch extra film if I didn't have any work, or, I always like to try to bang my workout during the day. So when I get home, that time's my time. I don't need to be looking at finance videos or any of that, just, straight football from there. So, 12:45, I'd go grab lunch on the way to the facility, eat it there, go get taped. I'm personally, I always hit hot tub, cold tub before practice, get the body feeling right, especially later on in the year, like we were talking about earlier, those nicks and bruises start to really, come up more. So really making sure I'm staying on top of my body. And, meetings will start about 2:30. And from 2:30, to about 3:30, 3:45-ish, you're in meetings. And, you'll go downstairs, put your shoulder pads, helmet on, and go up to practice from about 4 to like 6:15-ish. And then from 6:15, go get dinner at Wellness Center, at about 7-ish. And then you're back home by 7:40, 8 o'clock. And, Coach Grimes was really good always about posting corrections from, the day. So I always like to go home and watch the corrections, get ahead on film, watch a little extra film, really start bringing down the opponent more. So I just, I'm that much more ready for Saturday. So, it's long days, but, that's one of those things where, football is one of those sports you have to love it, because if not, it's just, you're not going to last. It's too demanding. It's too grueling. So, you got to enjoy the grind.
What was JB like as a coach? I know he's semi-retired right now, and kind of adjusting to that life. But what was he like in those times you were able to spend with him?
He was awesome. He was almost like a second father figure down south. He was someone where he was really good Christian man. He's true to himself, and he was a great coach. And that was one of the reasons I picked Auburn was he's a really big into technique, and he's a technician coach. So that was the area of my game I wanted to improve on, and Coach Grimes really sold me with that. And I feel like I got much better at that throughout my time with Coach Grimes. And one of the things I loved about him was whether you're a first day on campus and it was your first practice, or you're a fifth year senior, he treated everyone equal. Like if you're if he thinks you're slack or you're not doing what you need to be doing, you'll hear about it regardless if you're a captain or, like I said, you're the new guy on campus. So like I said, he treated everyone the same and was a great coach. And he's one of a kind, and he's someone always be thankful for. And he's made me a much better player, but also a better man.
You mentioned the Iron Bowl this past season, but I wanted to talk about a couple other games here real quick, just to kind of get your thoughts on it, but also what was going through your head during and after. So, for example, like the Music City Bowl, when you guys are you jumped all over Purdue, and it's like it's not a game by halftime. And I kept hearing from the defensive players, Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson, that the Purdue players were just trash talking still, and it was just laughable to them. What do you remember about that game? And just, it was an utter dominance. It almost seemed like that they didn't show up,
Yeah, it was crazy. But it's one of those things, you plan look, that team beat Ohio State. So, we're going in there thinking, look, we're in a dogfight. This is a good Big Ten team. Like, we can't go in there. If we sleepwalk, we're going to get our butts beat and sent back to Auburn. So, we're going in there, we're focused, and, it's one of those things where everything that could go right went right for us and then some. So, we're all looking at each other, we're up 21-0 like that. And we're like, geez, like, okay, but in the back of your mind, understanding, until, once it gets to about 50-0, that's when it's kind of, okay, this thing's away. But, look, just when you're up 21-0, Coach Grimes kept stressing, look, we got to put the nail in the coffin, because, we can't let these guys back in the game. And thankfully we didn't. And, we got to get some other guys reps, which was great, game experience for them. But yeah, they were talking a little trash, and I never really understood that. First time not a huge trash talker, I just let my game talk for itself. But it was just a weird game like that when you're up that much that quickly. They could not stop us.
Yeah, have you ever been a part of a game like that? I'm sure you probably.
I was like maybe high school, but that was like one of a kind type game.
And what about the Outback Bowl? That was I'm sure that was a very frustrating game. because you guys would get moving a little bit offensively, and then it would just stall or something bad would happen. And then, Minnesota would hit a big play. And then it's just like, man, we went from potentially scoring a touchdown here to Minnesota's doing it 2 plays later. And you guys obviously still had a chance there late, but it just seemed like it was almost like you were stuck in mud, and then you got back on grass, and then you fell back down into the mud. What was going on the field?
Yeah, it's tough. And, when you play, it's just one of those games where it's like the harder you try, it's like it just nothing happens. Look, it wasn't like, people ask me, hey, were kids trying? It was the last one. Everyone was, 10 toes in. It just sometimes that happens, like you said, we get something going finally, okay, we're going to get in our groove, we're going to start putting some points on the board, and then it's like we stall out. And it was frustrating for everyone involved, especially for us to go out that way. It was really tough. And, all the guys put so much work into that. And, like, I can speak especially on the offensive line. Everyone took it serious, and we were there to win the game, not just, for something to be in Tampa. Yeah. It's too bad too. It's like that was our last ever game at Auburn, but it happens. Credit to Minnesota. Coach Fleck got them ready to play, and look, they were a good team, and we knew we couldn't go in there and sleepwalk and beat them either. And look, like showed they had talent, and like I said, we didn't execute as well as we should have.
Yeah, I know. Defensively, Jeremiah Denson was telling me that they were throwing things at them that they hadn't even really seen on film, and things he hadn't really seen any team do. And then plus they had some just amazing receivers for them, and it was just one of those games. So, we're all facing this pandemic with the coronavirus. You say you're back home in Connecticut. What do your days look like right now? Like, what are you able to do training wise? Because, a lot of people's former high schools and stuff are closed. I think I heard KJ Britt, the linebacker for Auburn, he was saying that he was jumping the fence to get on the high school field of his whole hometown, but that was shut down. They quickly realized he was doing that. But so what are you doing to get ready for the draft?
Yeah, times like these, you got to get creative with how you work out because, like you said, it's hard to do. No gyms are open. So for a while, the gym I trained at all through high school was staying open for longer than most. This is an athlete type gym, but luckily I have a family friend. They have a squat rack and stuff in their basement, so I just go over there every day and use that. And there are some fields in my hometown that are staying open, so just doing lifting over there, and then going over and doing all my field work and running at the field has been great. I've been lucky. Like you said, there's some people who are in tough situations where you're doing whatever you can just to get a run in or whatever. But, like you said, everyone's in the same boat. And, you just, like I said, it's so easy now. Now's the time where, I don't have to work out. I can take this off. I can, maybe I don't have to run, but this is the time where, you do the extra stuff and understanding that, hey, other people aren't doing this. So, the more you do now, the better off you'll be. Like I said, whenever it comes time to play again, you don't want to be the guy who's sucking wind and out of shape. It just looks bad. So I just trying to get my body mentally and physically prepared for when that time comes.
When you've talked to teams, you don't have to mention the team, but what are some of the weirdest questions you've received?
My friends have asked me. I personally haven't really gotten any weird ones.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty, pretty straightforward, like what do you do in your free time, just stuff like that. I haven't gotten the classic, weird, typical ones. So yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary, I can say.
That's good. Yeah, that's just some weird stuff. I think there's more or less they're trying to see your reaction than your answer.
That's like the combine. The whole thing is, talking to guys who have been there before is, understanding, that they might try to provoke you or they might say something, they're not they're not actually being, a jerk. It's just they're trying to see how you react to that situation. So understanding that, you're being watched at everything you do. So, just have to be professional and everything.
When draft night and draft nights come, I'm sure you're going to stay home in Connecticut and just watch it on TV and wait for the phone call. You going to have any family over or friends? What's kind of the plan?
No, I'm just my family, especially with the whole pandemic. Just want to stay safe and, encourage everyone to do the same. But, look, I'm also someone too, I don't want a ton of people around me. It's a nervous, it's one of those things. I'll be nervous, it's like anticipation, this is like you said, it's just to change my life. So, it's something that, I just want to be myself and my family and, just a small circle and, like I said, celebrate afterwards. But, I don't want to put anyone else's life in danger. And, I have a lot to look forward to, so I don't want to get sick either.
So have you heard anything from like NFL personnel or even through the grapevine? Like, okay, you get drafted and, obviously there's OTAs and stuff like that, but no one knows what's going on, at least publicly. How do you approach things after the draft?
It's hard, yeah, and that's the thing is like normally I always like to build out a structured plan. Like, okay, I have 6 weeks till training camp starts, so I'm going to build out and do this each week, and then so it's hard. We really don't know when that's going to be. It could be in 2 months, it could be July, it could be August. So it's kind of a guessing game. I've heard everything from Kirk Herbstreit saying the season is going to be canceled to people saying it's starting on time and everything's going to be normal and everything in between. So I think everyone's just as in the dark. And no one really truly knows what's going to go down. So it's kind of a waiting game.
I asked this of all players, but is Gus Malzahn just weird, or is there two personas that he's like trying to hide or something?
He's kind of got two personas. When he's like in the football mode, he is straight X's and O's in football. But a lot of people and unless you really get to know him, he's a great guy outside of football. He was someone I felt comfortable playing for, not just because he's a great coach, but just because he's a great family man. I thought he was a great leader, and he is a great leader. So he gets so he's different. That's one of the things I respect about him too, is he's true to himself. He doesn't swear. Out of every other coach who swears, it's easy for him to have caved in by now, but he's true to himself, and he believes look, it's gotten him this far from a high school coach in Arkansas to the head football coach at one of the best schools in all of college football. So. He's a great guy. He's a little quirky sometimes, but he's a great dude.
Does it get weird, like if you're in close proximity and like say JB or someone else says a cuss word or whatever, and Gus is standing there? Does everybody like look at Gus to see how he reacts? Or some of it just rolls off Gus's back because he knows how it is.
Yeah, no, I think he knows the environment. College football coaches can be a little bit colorful at times, and I think he's aware of that. Different coaches have their different philosophies, and I will say, he does, encourage, coaches to swear less, which is great, but yeah, I think he understands also it's SEC college football. There's going to be some language used.
I don't know if you've ever seen, I'll have to send you the video. It was before the 2013 Iron Bowl, before the Kick Six game. And Bo Jackson was like the honorary captain. And he gave a pregame speech, and he was just talking about Gus Malzahn, how he was the best coach in America. But he was doing it with colorful language. He was saying he's the best MFer and this and that. And you can see Gus in the background. And as soon as he starts cussing, Gus just starts downing water. Like, it was like a moment from The Office or whatever. It's hilarious.
Trying to play it cool. Yeah.
We went from the outhouse to the penthouse. Mr. Bo Jackson's going to lead us. When this man came here and he whipped everybody in shape, I know there was a lot of you that said, this guy no. But let me tell you what he... This guy right here got one of the smartest minds in college.
Yeah. What are you going to take away from your time at Auburn? I know it's quote unquote only 2 years, and you've been at UMass and now Auburn before you go to the NFL, but what do you take away from Auburn? What do you remember most?
Yeah, no, I'm really thankful for the 2 years I've spent here. It's really changed my life, and I've, been introduced to so many great people and met a lot of lifelong friends, and, I've become a better man from being down here. The whole Auburn family thing's true. I know, like, even my friends from the NBA cohort, still reaching out and, asking if I ever need anything and vice versa. Like, I'm always there for them, and all the players know that too, and still talking to those guys almost every day. So, it's been a great experience, getting to, be a part of something special, and, one of the best schools in all of college football. It's something I could only dreamed of. And like I said, just guys like Coach Grimes who really touched my life in a positive way and, really made me, a better player. And I wouldn't be here without him or Coach Malzahn. So, I'm really just thankful for those 2 years I've spent. And like I said, I wouldn't have changed a thing.
So are you playing video games to kind of pass the time? What do you do when you're not working out?
Yeah, I'm an avid reader. I really like to read. So do a lot of that. Hang out.
What are you reading? What are you reading?
So I've just finished 3 books in the past week and a half. I finished Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. A great book, highly recommend. read Bringing Down the House about the MIT card counting scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then I also read Make Your Bed. It's, a quick book, but it's really famous. Like it commenced in the street from Texas. I got turned into a book. So yeah, I just like to read, stuff like nonfiction, nonfiction, just stuff, I can always take something from and, ultimately try to improve and, work on a little thing here and there.
Oh, that's cool. I thought you were going to say I've been playing Madden and NBA 2K.
I play a little, but I'm just not a huge video game guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like addicted to Modern Warfare right now.
I have a lot of friends who are too, so.
Yeah. Whenever the baby goes to bed, I'm like, I'm going to play this for a couple of hours. I'm going to go.
That's your time, though.
Yeah, man. Jack, thanks so much for joining us. It's great catching up with you. I want you to stay safe, obviously stay healthy. I hope everything's going well with the family. Is everything going okay with the family? Do you know anybody that's been impacted by all this?
I have several friends who have, families who have been. So like I said, everyone's, thoughts and prayers to everyone out there who's been affected, and everyone's got to keep doing their part to stay safe.
Yeah, man. I totally agree with that. Just be smart, everybody. Just be smart with it. And it's going to get back to normal at some point. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. Jack, appreciate you, man. It was a pleasure to get to cover you while you were at Auburn, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do at the next level in the NFL. And I'm excited to watch. I'm sure just as you are, when the draft starts on April 23rd and going through the 24th and 25th to see where you land. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to see where you go.
Yeah, appreciate everything you do for us as well. It means a lot.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
No one has it covered like 24/7 Sports. Go undercover with Auburn Undercover.